The death of legendary actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa has left the world in shock. The couple, along with their dog, were found dead on the night of February 26, 2025. An investigation is underway into the deaths of the two-time Oscar winner Gene Hackman and his wife. This tragic day marked not only a loss for the actor's family and fans, but also for the entertainment world, as Gene Hackman's name is synonymous with cinematic masterpieces and he was a living legend etched into Hollywood history. Now, this iconic figure finds himself at the heart of a horrifying tragedy. On February 26, 2025, the world was left in shock when the bodies of Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa were discovered in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. However, what makes this death even more terrifying is not just the loss of a cinematic icon but the bizarre details surrounding the scene. The front door of the house was left wide open, a dog was locked in its cage and starved to death, pills were scattered across the floor, and there was a mysterious 911 call placed before the police discovered the bodies. What really happened in those fateful moments? Join us as we try to unravel the truth in today's video. The morning of February 26, 2025, started like any other, with a routine electrical inspection. Two maintenance workers entered Gene Hackman's residence in Santa Fe, unaware that they would become the first witnesses to a shocking tragedy. From the moment they approached the front door, something felt off. The door was wide open, as though someone had left in a hurry or perhaps was expecting a guest who never arrived. The air inside the house was unusually cold, and a thick silence blanketed every corner, not the stillness of a peaceful morning, but the haunting sensation of a place that had witnessed something horrific. As the workers ventured deeper inside, they found Gene Hackman, 95, collapsed near the back door. He lay motionless, his rigid body next to his cane and sunglasses, two objects inseparable from his image. It seemed as though these items had been abandoned thoughtlessly, as if their owner never had the time to reach for them. In the bathroom, his wife, Betsy Arakawa, 65, was found in a similar state, lying on the floor surrounded by scattered pills and an open prescription bottle. It was unclear whether this was a sign of personal tragedy or a deliberate setup. Nothing in the house appeared disturbed, as there were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of a struggle or resistance. However, one detail stood out. On the table, two green cell phones were neatly placed side by side, with one still in the middle of an outgoing call. Outside, the tragedy did not end there. One of the couple's dogs, locked in a cage, had died of starvation, while two others wandered around in confusion. They didn't bark or show any signs of agitation, simply pacing aimlessly as though aware of something terrible having occurred but unable to express it. The pieces of a chilling puzzle began to emerge. Why was the door left open if there were no signs of intrusion? What had happened inside the house the night before? Most importantly, who was the last phone call meant for? Police quickly sealed off the scene and began gathering evidence. However, as they dug deeper, it became clear that this was no ordinary death. Why is it important to emphasize that this was not an ordinary death? Because, before his passing, Gene Hackman, who had stayed away from Hollywood for more than 20 years and lived a quiet life, was described by those who knew him as someone with a positive outlook. Even at the age of 95, Hackman was in stable health, had no serious illnesses, and showed no signs of deteriorating health. Betsy Arakawa was the same, a gentle woman who loved art and had been Hackman's steadfast emotional support. Though they had no children together, they had built a happy life in Santa Fe, a city renowned for its diverse art and culture, far from the hustle and bustle of big cities. Statistics show that, over the past 20 years, Hackman's home in Santa Fe had welcomed hundreds of visitors, not out of curiosity or to seek information about a Hollywood star, but because of its unique architecture and peaceful atmosphere. Neighbors and friends described them as a close-knit couple with no significant conflicts. If anything seemed unusual, it was that Hackman had appeared more anxious than usual in recent weeks. An old friend recalled that, a few weeks before his death, Hackman had mentioned that something wasn't right, though he didn't elaborate. What investigators found particularly intriguing was Hackman's behavior before his passing. If their life was as normal as it appeared, why was the front door left open? Why were pills scattered across the floor? And why was the 911 call mysteriously cut off? The 911 call became one of the most crucial elements of the investigation, not only because of its content but also due to the caller's confusion and the unusual details in how the information was conveyed. The specifics of the call raised numerous questions about how Hackman and Arakawa died and what really happened inside the house before they were found. The caller, one of the two maintenance workers, identified himself as the caretaker of the property. From the moment the line connected, his voice conveyed clear distress and difficulty in describing the situation accurately. His first words, "I think we've just found 2 or 1 person dead inside the house," reflected uncertainty about the number of deceased individuals he actually saw, which was strange. Most people discovering such a scene would typically report the exact number rather than expressing ambiguity. One of the most unusual aspects of the call was the caretaker's inability to provide the exact address of the house, only stating, "There is no address on the property." This caused a significant delay in dispatching police to the scene. His statement, "There's no address here, so I have to meet them there, then when the police or anyone is at the gate, I'll bring them up here," revealed confusion or a lack of preparedness in providing information. Did someone intentionally conceal or tamper with information about the house's location to delay the authorities' response? Additionally, when the dispatcher asked the caretaker to confirm whether Hackman and Arakawa were still breathing, he repeatedly evaded the question, only responding, "I don't know." This was unusual, as people discovering bodies typically check for signs of life. The caretaker claimed he wasn't inside the house and that it was locked, but he later described seeing Arakawa's body through a window. This raised further suspicions. If the door was locked, how could he pinpoint the victims' locations? And if he could see them through the window, why didn't he check for any signs of life? Another crucial detail was the interruption during the call. At one point, after the call was connected, it was temporarily cut off, prompting the dispatcher to say, "I can barely understand what you're saying, you're cutting in and out." These disruptions could have been caused by poor signal reception, but they could also suggest deliberate interference or an attempt to disconnect the call. In many criminal investigations, an interrupted emergency call can be a sign of outside interference. Eventually, the caretaker confirmed the meeting location with the police, stating he would bring them up to the house. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Hackman's and Arakawa's bodies in separate locations inside the house. According to the forensic report, both bodies showed signs of decomposition, blistering, and mummification, indicating they had been dead for at least a day before being discovered. These details raised numerous questions about the 911 call and the caretaker's role in the entire case. Why couldn't he provide the address immediately? Why was there a delay in reporting the victim's condition? Was the interruption due to technical issues, or did someone deliberately cut off the call? Investigators have proposed several theories surrounding the 911 call and the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. One theory suggests the caretaker was genuinely panicked and unsure how to handle the situation, which could explain his confusion during the report. While this is a plausible explanation, it doesn't account for discrepancies like the delay in confirming the number of bodies or the failure to check for signs of life. Another theory is that the caretaker knew something but chose not to reveal the full truth. He might have accidentally witnessed a crime or been indirectly involved. In many criminal cases, those connected to the events often provide vague information to conceal parts of the truth or mislead the investigation. If the caretaker was indeed involved, the question becomes, what was his role in this case? Another line of inquiry focuses on the possibility of third-party interference. The fact that the door was locked from the inside, yet the caretaker could see the bodies through the window, suggests that someone may have left the scene before the police arrived. If someone staged the scene to make it look like a natural death or accident, they might have meticulously planned every detail, including delaying the 911 call to buy time before authorities arrived. The 911 call also raises questions about the timeline of events leading to the deaths of Hackman and Arakawa. If they had indeed been dead for at least a day, why hadn't anyone noticed earlier? And if this was a murder, had the perpetrator already fled before the caretaker discovered the bodies, or was there a more elaborate cover-up at play? These questions remain unanswered, but one thing is certain. The 911 call was not merely a routine report of a death, but a crucial link in the chain of events leading to the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. Investigators are continuing to search for clues from the call, analyzing the caretaker's words, phone signal data, GPS location, and the exact time the call was made. In a case as mysterious as the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, uncovering the true cause becomes a challenge not only for the police but also for forensic medical and psychological experts. There were no clear signs of violence, no evidence of forced entry, and no obvious medical reasons to explain why the couple would die nearly at the same time. These puzzling factors have led to a range of theories, each pointing in a different direction, some potentially bringing the case closer to the truth, while others only adding to the confusion. The first theory considered was carbon monoxide, CO, poisoning, a common cause of sudden death in enclosed spaces. This colorless, odorless gas is extremely dangerous if leaked into a home without detection. Experts suggested that if the house's fuel-burning system malfunctioned, Hackman and his wife could have inhaled a large amount of CO while sleeping, leading to unconsciousness and death. However, after a thorough inspection of the home's gas system, safety sensors detected no signs of leakage. Additionally, environmental reports indicated that CO levels in the Santa Fe area were within safe limits. This quickly ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning, forcing investigators to look for another direction. Another avenue of investigation revolved around the possibility of an accidental overdose or incorrect medication use. In the bathroom where Betsy Arakawa's body was found, several scattered pills were discovered alongside an open prescription bottle. This raised suspicions that Betsy might have taken the wrong dose or tried to self-medicate for an unknown pain but lost control over the amount she consumed. If she suffered a stroke or heart failure, she could have reached for the medication, but instead of alleviating her condition, she may have unintentionally worsened it. However, the critical question is, if Betsy Arakawa died from improper medication use, what caused Gene Hackman to die at the same time? If he had tried to help his wife and accidentally ingested the wrong pills, why were there no signs of panic or any attempt to seek help at the scene? Furthermore, initial toxicology tests conducted by medical authorities at the site did not detect any harmful drugs or dangerous overdoses, making this theory increasingly vague. Some criminal psychology experts proposed the hypothesis that this might have been a suicide pact, in which both spouses decided to end their lives together. At the age of 95, Gene Hackman may have felt exhausted from aging, and his wife could have agreed to leave with him to avoid facing loneliness later on. This is not uncommon among elderly couples with strong, long-lasting relationships. However, there is a major issue with this hypothesis. If they truly planned to commit suicide, why was there no suicide note or any signs that they had prepared for such an act? Furthermore, the position of the bodies did not align with a deliberate suicide scenario. Hackman was found near the back door, while Betsy was in the bathroom, with no clear connection between the two locations. Additionally, their family and friends insisted that neither of them showed signs of serious psychological distress, making the hypothesis of a suicide pact less convincing. But if this wasn't a suicide, could they have been murdered? This theory immediately captured the attention of investigators, as certain details at the scene couldn't be explained in a conventional way. The front door was left open without any sign of careful locking, and a green mobile phone was found in an outgoing call state, abruptly disconnected, raising suspicions of a third party's presence. Police conducted analyses of samples from the scene, including fingerprints, personal items, and electronic data. Preliminary evidence suggested possible external interference, but there were no clear signs of a struggle. This raised the question, if someone had broken in, why was there no trace of violence? If it was a premeditated murder, what was the method? Could the perpetrator have used a type of undetectable poison, gradually weakening both victims before their deaths? These contradictions became even more complex when forensic experts took a closer look at Hackman's health condition. At 95, he could have died of natural causes, but what raised suspicion was that Betsy Arakawa also died at nearly the same time. This led some forensic doctors to speculate that some unknown event occurred inside the house, resulting in both of their deaths simultaneously. Some theories suggested that Gene Hackman might have collapsed first, and, out of shock, Betsy Arakawa could have suffered a severe stroke. However, if this was a natural death, why was Hackman's final phone call so panic-stricken? If he felt his death approaching, why didn't he call 911 instead of dialing an unknown number? And who was the recipient of that call? In a case where every hypothesis seems possible, yet none are truly convincing, investigators are facing a maze of information, where any piece of evidence could be the key to unraveling the truth. The biggest question remains, was this a natural death or a premeditated crime? If it was murder, what was the true motive? And if Hackman had indeed sensed that something was about to happen, why didn't he try to escape or seek help sooner? The investigation has yet to reach a final conclusion, but one thing is certain. No one can simply accept the deaths of Hackman and Betsy Arakawa as a mere coincidence. The public and experts alike continue to follow every new development in this case, hoping that one day all the mysteries surrounding it will be brought to light. Number 4. Strange reaction from the family. Gene Hackman's daughters were seen having breakfast at Denny's one day after the bodies of their father and his wife were found. The reaction of Gene Hackman's family following his and his wife's mysterious deaths has sparked much controversy among the public. While the loss of a father, a legendary film icon, should have been a significant shock to his children, what followed revealed a somewhat strange and puzzling response. Images of Hackman's two daughters, Elizabeth and Leslie, appearing at a Denny's restaurant in Burbank, California, just one day after their father's body was discovered, left the public astonished. Typically, when a loved one dies, especially under suspicious circumstances, the family is often consumed by grief, anxiety, and anticipation of investigation results. However, the sight of the two sisters dining at a casual restaurant, smiling, and not appearing particularly distressed, triggered mixed reactions. Some suggest it was their way of trying to maintain composure and move on with life, while others question the true nature of their relationship with their father. In an interview with DailyMail.com, Leslie Hackman stated that the family was still waiting for full autopsy and toxicology results to determine the cause of her father's death. However, what stood out was that she did not seem too shocked, even admitting that it had been a few months since she last spoke to her father, though she insisted they were very close. This contradiction has led many to wonder, if they were truly close, why hadn't they communicated in several months, especially when Gene Hackman was elderly and living a reclusive life? Leslie also emphasized that, before his death, her father was still in good health, enjoyed practicing Pilates and yoga several times a week, and showed no signs of serious illness. This is a crucial detail, as it contradicts the possibility that Hackman died of natural causes. If he was truly as healthy as his daughter claimed, what could have caused both him and his wife to die suddenly within the same time frame? One of the theories proposed by Elizabeth and Leslie was that their father and stepmother might have died from carbon monoxide poisoning. However, this theory was quickly dismissed after Santa Fe firefighters and the New Mexico Gas Company conducted thorough inspections and concluded that there were no signs of CO leaks in the house. This finding made the daughter's explanation unconvincing and raised the question: did they truly understand what had happened to their father, or were they deliberately trying to steer public attention in another direction? Even more puzzling was Leslie's admission that her father's death wasn't really shocking because he was 95 years old. This statement was quite unusual, as despite Hackman's advanced age, his passing was sudden and occurred under mysterious circumstances. A typical child would feel shocked and devastated by the loss of a parent, especially when the cause of death remained unclear. However, Leslie's reaction seemed as if she had accepted the situation too quickly, almost as if she had anticipated it. The emotional distance between Gene Hackman and his daughters is another noteworthy point. Leslie acknowledged that she hadn't spoken to her father in several months, yet insisted that their relationship was normal and good. This discrepancy has led many to doubt whether their father-daughter bond was truly as close as she claimed. The fact that Leslie and Elizabeth continued their lives in a relatively calm manner just one day after learning of their father's death further fueled questions about their emotional response. Additionally, another detail that drew significant public attention was that none of the family members appeared particularly eager to request an expanded investigation. Typically, in cases where the cause of death remains unclear, the victim's relatives are the first to urge the police to clarify every detail and pursue the truth. However, in this case, the Hackman family seemed to take no significant action to push the investigation forward. This reaction was in stark contrast to the public and media, who consistently demanded answers and pressed authorities for accurate explanations of what had happened. Some psychological analysts suggest two possible explanations for the Hackman family's response. One possibility is that they genuinely lacked a strong emotional connection with their father and did not feel deeply grieved by his passing. The second possibility is that they might be hiding something or know more than they have shared with the public. If the second theory holds true, the pressing question is, what are they hiding and why? On online forums and social media, the family's strange reaction quickly became a hot topic. Many fans believe the daughter's indifference is an unusual sign, possibly linked to a secret that has yet to be revealed. Some theories suggest that there had been a long-standing rift between Gene Hackman and his daughters, possibly related to inheritance disputes or family disagreements. Others speculate that Hackman might have known something important before his death, which could explain why certain individuals would prefer not to see the case investigated further. Number 5. Hollywood mourns a legend. Gene Hackman was not only a great actor but also a symbol of perseverance and resilience. Born on January 30, 1930, in San Bernardino, California, he grew up in an unhappy family. His parents' divorce at a young age forced Hackman to learn independence early. At 16, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps, serving during the final years of World War II, an experience that shaped him into a disciplined and strong-willed man. After being discharged from the military, Hackman decided to pursue acting, a choice many considered reckless. He studied at the Pasadena Playhouse, where he was often underrated. Despite the criticism, Hackman refused to give up, determined to prove his talent. Starting with small roles, he gradually built his reputation with a breakthrough role in Bonnie and Clyde, 1967, which earned him his first Oscar nomination. The 1970s marked Hackman's rise to stardom, with The French Connection, 1971, a role that earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor. He continued to showcase his talent through iconic films like Mississippi Burning, 1988, Unforgiven, 1992, which brought him his second Oscar, and The Royal Tenenbaums, 2001. Throughout his career, Hackman displayed remarkable versatility, constantly challenging himself to deliver outstanding performances. Despite his immense success, Hackman avoided the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. He steered clear of scandals, skipped lavish parties, and always viewed acting as an art rather than a tool for fame. In 2004, while still at the peak of his career, Hackman abruptly announced his retirement from acting, turning down all future film offers without a public farewell or press conference. He simply disappeared from the silver screen. Hackman spent the rest of his life in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with his wife Betsy Arakawa, a pianist. He focused on writing books, studying history, and enjoying a peaceful life. For Hackman, cinema was a remarkable chapter in his life, but not the entirety of it. He lived and departed on his own terms, a quiet hero leaving behind an admirable cinematic legacy and an inspiring life story. Hackman's passing not only affected his family but left an immense void in the film industry. Hollywood, where he had been an irreplaceable icon, collectively mourned the loss of a man who dedicated his life to the arts. His former colleagues, from Clint Eastwood to Morgan Freeman, expressed their sorrow. Clint Eastwood, one of Hackman's closest friends in the industry, shared in a speech, "Gene wasn't just an actor, he was a remarkable human being, a true artist and a legend. Everyone respected him. I still remember our days together on set, the stories he told, and the lessons he passed on." His passing is an irreplaceable loss. Morgan Freeman, who had worked with Hackman multiple times, also delivered an emotional message: "We have lost one of the greatest actors of the 20th century." Gene Hackman embodied dedication to his craft, a man who never lost his identity in any role he played. Cinema will never be the same without him. Directors, screenwriters, and producers who had the privilege of working with Hackman also spoke out, praising him as a profoundly influential figure, not only on screen but in the way he lived and worked. Beyond the film industry, the public expressed deep sorrow for Hackman's passing. In the age of social media, news of his death quickly spread across various online platforms. Millions of fans from around the world shared their grief and regret by posting memories, photos, videos, and famous quotes from his films. A wave of remembrance swept across platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, turning them into virtual spaces where countless people paid tribute to the legendary actor. On Twitter, the hashtags #GeneHackmanForever and #LegendNeverFades became global trends, drawing millions of posts from fans who admired him. Many shared iconic film scenes, memorable lines Hackman delivered on screen, and in-depth articles analyzing his remarkable career. Some posts even voiced skepticism about the cause of his death, raising questions about unusual details at the scene and calling for a more thorough investigation. YouTube and TikTok were also quickly flooded with tribute videos, archival footage, old interviews, and Hackman's masterful performances, garnering millions of views. Content creators across platforms produced deep-dive analyses of Hackman's career, from his early days in Hollywood to the legendary roles that cemented his place in cinematic history. Number 6. Ongoing investigation and unanswered questions. The investigation into the mysterious deaths of Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa remains ongoing, leaving many questions unanswered. Despite several days passing since the bodies were discovered, investigators have yet to issue an official conclusion on the cause of death, and the public eagerly awaits the latest updates. What truly happened inside Hackman's Santa Fe home that night? Was it an accident, a sudden health crisis, or could there be another hand behind the tragedy? Currently, the full autopsy results have not been released. According to police sources, investigators are focusing on toxicology tests to determine whether Hackman and his wife were poisoned. This step is critical in solving the case, as the presence of toxins could shift the entire direction of the investigation. If no toxins are found, natural causes will be considered more seriously. However, there were no signs of heart attacks or strokes, common causes for people Hackman's age, at the scene. Moreover, according to his daughter, Hackman was in good health and had no history of serious illness, making the natural causes theory harder to accept. One of the most mysterious aspects of the case is Hackman's final phone call. His cryptic words, "It's happening," have yet to be deciphered. Investigators are working to determine who he called and why the call abruptly ended after just 27 seconds. The recipient's phone number does not belong to any family member, nor was it an emergency service like 911. This strengthens the theory that Hackman may have been seeking help from someone he trusted. However, if he truly felt threatened, why not call the police? And if he was trying to warn someone, what prevented him from finishing the call? Another pressing question is whether anyone else was present in the house at the time of Hackman and Arakawa's deaths. There were no signs of forced entry, but the front door was found ajar, raising suspicions about whether someone had entered or left without leaving traces. Forensic experts have analyzed fingerprints and DNA from the scene, but the results have not yet been disclosed. If evidence of a third party emerges, the case could shift from a mysterious death to a truly criminal investigation. Another angle under investigation is whether a hidden secret lies behind this tragedy. Gene Hackman lived a reclusive life for years, avoiding the media and maintaining minimal social connections. However, his cryptic final phone call suggests he may have anticipated something ominous. This raises the theory that Hackman was guarding an important secret, one he intended to reveal but never had the chance. If this theory holds true, what could that secret be, and could it have played a role in his death? Investigators are also scrutinizing Hackman's assets and inheritance to determine if any family or financial disputes might have been a factor. Although Hackman had long retired from Hollywood, he still owned a considerable fortune, including real estate in Santa Fe and several valuable assets. If financial disputes played a role in this case, it could be one of the key clues to uncovering the cause of death. Public opinion remains divided among different theories. Some believe that Hackman and his wife died of natural causes, but others refuse to accept this strange coincidence. The appearance of the green mobile phone, the interrupted call, and conflicting statements from Hackman's family have led many to question whether there is a conspiracy being covered up. While waiting for the official results from the investigation, one thing is clear. Gene Hackman's death is not as simple as it appears on the surface. The mysterious details surrounding the case remain unanswered, and the deeper one digs, the more contradictions and unresolved questions emerge. The biggest question now is, will the truth ever be revealed, or will it forever be buried alongside the man who spent his life in the spotlight of Hollywood, only to depart in the shadows of an unsolved mystery? The investigation is ongoing, but will the truth ever come to light? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on this case. See you in the next video.